I've had this for a bit now, and a few people ask me about it, so here is my take. This vacuum is for someone who wants one machine that can handle regular floors, rugs, and the annoying stuff like stairs, couch cushions, and baseboards, without needing a separate handheld vacuum. If you live with pets, or you deal with dust allergies, this one is clearly trying to cover those situations too. What makes it different, at least in day-to-day use, is that the main body can separate from the upright base. So I can use it like a normal upright when I am doing the main rooms, then pull the canister off and carry it when I am doing stairs or furniture. I end up using that split design more than I expected, mostly because it saves me from dragging the whole upright into tight spots. On the outside, it looks like a typical upright vacuum, nothing fancy, but it feels solid enough when I pick it up and move it around. The plastic does not feel fragile, and the latches and release buttons have a firm click to them. The dust cup is easy to see through, which sounds minor, but I like being able to tell when it is getting full without guessing. The hose has some stretch to it, but it still has that normal vacuum hose resistance where it wants to pull back a little if I am reaching far. Setup was straightforward. I did not need to sit there for a long time figuring it out. The main pieces lock together in a way that makes it obvious when they are seated correctly. Once it is assembled, using it is also simple. I plug it in, hit the power switch on the canister area, and choose between a mode meant for hard floors and a mode meant for carpets. In real use, that switch matters because on hard floors, I do not want the brush rolling and kicking debris around, and on carpet I do want agitation so it actually pulls hair and grit out. In my house, I tested it the same way I test most vacuums. I ran it on hard flooring with a mix of fine dust, crumbs, and pet hair. I also used it on medium pile carpet where hair likes to cling and where little bits of dirt tend to hide. On hard floors, suction-only mode did what I wanted. It picked up scattered debris without sending it flying, and it did not feel like I had to do 10 passes. The swivel steering helps here because I can turn around chair legs and table feet without fighting the vacuum. It feels more controlled than older uprights I have used that just want to go straight. On carpet, the Brushroll mode digs in more. I could hear the change immediately, and I could feel the head settle into the carpet in a way that told me it was actually working the fibers. The real test for me is pet hair, because that is where a lot of vacuums start to struggle or leave a thin layer behind. This one consistently pulled hair up, especially if I moved at a normal walking pace instead of rushing. On thicker areas, I still had to do a slower pass, but that is true for basically every corded vacuum I have used in this style. Lift-away mode is where I got the most practical value. I have stairs, and cleaning them with a normal upright is always awkward. With this, I detach the canister, carry it in one hand, and use the hose and wand with the brush attachment. It is not weightless, but it is manageable, and the big improvement is that I am not balancing the entire vacuum on a step while I try to clean. I also used lift-away for upholstery. On my couch cushions, the upholstery tool did a good job grabbing lint and hair along the seams, and the crevice tool actually fit into the tight gap where crumbs collect. That gap is where I usually find out if an attachment is useful or just included to fill the box. The Pet Power brush is the attachment I kept reaching for. I used it on a fabric chair that collects hair fast. It pulled hair off without me having to scrub the tool back and forth aggressively. It also worked well on the stairs where hair tends to stick at the edges. I will say, like most powered brushes, it can get hair wrapped around it over time, so I did have to clean it out after a few runs. That is normal, but it is something I actually do, not something I pretend will never happen. The wand reach is helpful for things like baseboards and corners. I tried it on ceiling corners and the top edge of curtains. It does reach up there, but the hose tension can tug a bit if I am fully extended. I usually brace the canister with my other hand or set it down in a stable spot. For quick high dusting, it works. For long overhead cleaning, it is still a corded upright, so it is not as effortless as a lightweight stick vacuum, but the suction is stronger than most cordless models I have used. Filtration matters to me because I can tell when a vacuum is leaking dust back into the room. With this one, The air coming out does not have that dusty smell I get from cheaper vacuums, and I noticed less lingering dust when I vacuumed a room that had not been cleaned in a while. I am not going to pretend I measured air particles, but in normal use, it felt cleaner and less irritating, especially when I cleaned around rugs where dust tends to puff up. Daily maintenance has been simple. Emptying the dust cup is easy, and the bin is large enough that I can usually do the whole house without stopping, unless I am doing a lot of carpet and pet hair in one session. The filter care is also realistic. I rinse the pre-motor filters with lukewarm water, let them air dry fully, and pop them back in. It is not something I have to do constantly, but I do it when I notice suction dropping or when the filter looks dirty. The high-efficiency particulate air filter is not something I touch often. There are limitations. This vacuum is not quiet. It is not the loudest vacuum I have heard, but it is not something I would run while someone is trying to nap nearby. The hose can feel a little stiff when I am stretching it to reach around furniture, and the vacuum can feel slightly top-heavy if I am yanking the hose hard instead of repositioning the base. The cord is long enough that I can clean multiple areas before switching outlets, but it is still a cord, so I do have to think about where it is trailing when I turn around. Also, on small rugs, the head can sometimes grab and pull if the rug is light, so I either hold the rug down with a foot or use suction-only mode depending on the rug. One more thing I should address, because I know people ask. There is no mobile app here. There are no smart features in the sense of phone control or tracking. In a way, I prefer that for a corded upright, because it is one less thing to set up and one less thing to break. What matters is whether it cleans well, whether it is annoying to use, and whether it holds up to regular mess. In my experience, it has been reliable and consistent, especially for pet hair, stairs, and mixed flooring. So overall, after living with it, I see this as a practical upright vacuum for someone who wants strong cleaning on carpet, decent control on hard floors, and a lift-away option that actually gets used instead of being a gimmick. It does a lot of the normal chores without much fuss, and it is easy to switch from floors to furniture without changing to a different machine. I will leave detailed information about the Shark NV360 Navigator Lift-Away Deluxe Upright Vacuum in the comments for your reference. Thank you for watching.